Welcome to the Telos Care Podcast, where faith meets formation. Thanks for joining us today as we have conversations around biblical counseling and how to bring hope and healing to a hurting world.
So nature versus nurture has been this debate over years and years and years. And so John Locke came in strongly just saying it's all nurture, it's all environmental. And so for years, people had this strong debate. It's either nurture or nature. But now, because of neuroscience and all of the things that we've learned, we really learn that it's a little bit of both, that you're born into this world genetically predisposed for certain personality traits. There's something there. There's something about you. You're born with something. And then in life, because of your upbringing, your environment, your influences, that also has a great influence on our behavior, our personality, and the way we look at the world. So, you're not a blank slate. You're not just shaped by your influences and your environment. God instilled something within you. It's interesting to me that science actually now has caught up to that biblical philosophy. And, you know, the scriptures go on and on about this, that you are made in the image of God. You are the imago Dei. You are the image bearer of God. For God to say that He knows you and that He knew you while you were yet being formed in the womb indicates and lets us know that there is something there about you. I can't know you unless there are certain personality traits about you and so forth like that. There is a knowledge of you. And so, let me move over here. You're His workmanship. You've been created. So God has a design and a plan. And then genetically, we know, hey, when you were born into this world, you got more from your mother and your father than just your good looks. It's just not about height and body shape. You also come into this life genetically with the stuff that comes from your parents. It's genetically, scientifically a fact. It's a biblical fact that you are this unique individual. Now, here's another thought on this, that genetically, how do they distinguish you or I from 7 billion plus people on this planet? Your eye retina can distinguish you, your fingerprints, your DNA. And so with all of the billions of people on this planet and all of the billions of people that preceded us, there has never been anybody quite like you. Yes. Even twins. And I read this recently that even twins in the womb, they noticed that the fingerprints are even different. They can be identical twins, and through DNA, retina, or fingerprints, they can distinguish one from another. Now, you may look at an identical twin and you may get them mixed up, right? But genetically, we can determine that. Why is this so important? It's because identity is everything. Knowing that God has a plan for my life, that I am His unique design. So there's never been another you. There's nobody like you today, and there will never be anybody ever born quite like you. You are unique and different. So this gives me the idea, and it helps me understand that I have been created for purpose, that God has a plan for my life. And this is not just me saying these things. This is not just me trying to build you up and make you feel good. Genetically, you are unique. And this life, there's nobody like you, and this life is all you get. Make the most of it. This is it. This is all you get. What if you were a young guy just graduating high school and I said, I'm going to buy you a brand new car. You just pick your car. I'm going to buy you a brand new car with 0 miles on it, and it's going to be completely paid for. I'm going to hand you the keys. I'm going to hand you the title, and this is your car. You'd say, that's a pretty good deal, right? Okay, but then what if I said, here's the catch. This is the only car that you're ever going to have for your lifetime. I would suggest you take good care of that car. I would suggest you treat it like a baby. I would suggest you change the oil and wash it if it's the only one you get for your lifetime. So you only got one body. You got the best body that God could design. Take care of it. You only have one. It's the only one you're going to get. You're not going to get another one. You can't trade in or trade up. Take care of it. Nurture it. You only have one life. So I'm not saying, here's your only car. I'm saying you got one body, you got one mind, you got one life. Make the best of it. But what we do many times in this life, we take that brand new car and we wreck it. We're careless with it. And we pay for it. And then the car's trashed out when we could have years and years and years of life out of that car. So you've got the greatest gift in the world. You got something better than a new Ferrari. You got a mind that God has given you. You got a body that God has given you. You have a life that God has given you. It's an awesome thing. So you're not a blank slate. You are completely unique. And so, again, just to kind of go to some philosophy with you a little bit, there's what we call a theological argument. And it's the idea of the telos. Now, telos is an interesting Greek word for the Bible scholars. When Jesus died on the cross and he said, it is what? Finished. Telos. The purpose that Jesus came to fulfill on this life, his Father's will, was finished. It was tetelestai. It was the telos. And the idea of telos in a philosophical sense is that you were made for a specific purpose. Here's the theological argument. Imagine if you take a watch. I love watches. I'm a watch guy. I love all types of timepieces. But when you look at a unique timepiece, and I'm such an analog guy. I'm not a digital guy. I love an old school watch. I mean, give me a real watch. I mean, you can have your Apple Watch. My dream watch, Rolex, right? Omega. Do I have one? No. But when you look at that watch, you realize that watch just didn't happen. There had to be a watchmaker. Right? If I believed in the theory of evolution, I would say, well, maybe one day that was just a button and it evolved into a complex piece of machinery like that. That's a pretty ridiculous argument. And that's about how ridiculous the theory of evolution is. That a pebble or a button or a poker chip became that. Ain't gonna happen. There had to be a watchmaker. And so to take this a step further, the theological argument, here's your trivia for today, would say that watch was made for a purpose. It was made to tell time. And it doesn't have to be that complicated of a mechanism. If I held up a hammer, what's the hammer's purpose? To hammer. Why was it made? To hammer. The theological argument is that everything that is made, it's designed, and it's designed for a purpose. The chair you're sitting in, that stand, that podium, this drum set, you, to make it more personal, Your life, your existence is not an accident. So when I look at you and I think of all the complexities of a human being, I must say to myself, you just didn't pop into existence, and you're not here for no good reason. You are here for a purpose. And you're so complex, there had to be a watchmaker. There had to be a watchmaker. You just didn't evolve. God had a purpose and had a design. So, I love movies, but, we didn't evolve like the Planet of the Apes. You are a unique individual. This idea of nature versus nurture is a paradox. It doesn't even make sense. And so let me talk to you a little bit about paradoxes. Two things that are seemingly opposite, but that both can be true. As we were just discussing, nature versus nurture, they're both opposite, but I think as we look at life, both are true. You have what you come into this life with. You're genetically unique and God has made you. But yes, life has a way of shaping us. Life has a way of influencing the way we think and the way we behave. It just does. It's not one or the other. They're both factors. And so life is filled with paradoxes. And, see the image of my elephant, where does one thing begin and where does the other end? Paradoxes they're humorous. The guy who says, I'm in control, just don't tell my wife. On and on it goes. A paradox that we might be familiar with would be this. Let me just put it in terms that or in ideas that we can grab. You might say, I'm doing the best I can. I am giving everything I've got to my personal development, my spirituality. I am doing the best that I can. That's one. But on the other, I could say, I can still improve. I can still do better. I can still try harder. Are both true? Yeah. It's not a trick question. I'm doing the best I can, but I can always try better. In Florida, it can be, shiny and sunny and hot and raining at the same time, right? I mean, you can be on the front drive and it's sunshiny. You can come back here and it's pouring down rain. So opposites are very much the same. And it's an optical illusion. Paradoxes are important for us to understand because why? Because we get fixated on black and white thinking. It's one way or the other. And what I'm saying to you that in your healing journey, you've got to think beyond just binary choices. It's either this way or that way. It's either right or wrong. It's black or white. That type of thinking typically becomes a block to your healing. And we all get fixated on these things. I can't do this until that happens. Or I can't make progress here until this problem goes away. And I would say you've got to get beyond this black or white thinking, and think beyond that. And so what are you saying? Let me move a little further here. An example of paradoxes in the pathway of healing is when we surrender to win. When I think of the word surrender, it rubs me the wrong way just as an individual. I think in my mind, I'm not ready to surrender to anything. The last thing I want to do is surrender. But in the path of healing, in the path of recovery, I have to surrender to achieve, to win, to heal. I have to give up. So let's just talk a little bit about surrender. Surrender is the intersection between acceptance and change. I've got to be willing to accept certain things. That doesn't mean that I agree with the way life has treated me or what has happened to me or even agree with the mistakes that I have made. But I've got to accept and I've got to surrender in order to experience change, development, growth, and healing. Would you agree with that? Okay, so that would be a paradox. So Carl Rogers would say it like this: the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. According to Carl Rogers, I've got to accept myself. Acceptance is a big thing. I've got to accept who I am, flaws and everything, the good, the bad, the indifferent. And then when I accept that, and I don't excuse it, explain it away, rationalize it, then I can step into change. And maybe some other words that might help us with this word change. When I accept myself just as I am, then I can change, then I can grow, then I can heal, then I can be better. But until I accept myself, none of that really happens. I'm accepting, I'm surrendering, I'm yielding. I like that biblical word. There's a yielding to it. And so when I get to that point, then I'm moving into change, development, healing, growth, all of those things. Prior to that, if I'm stuck in I can't surrender, I'm not accepting, I'm not getting to that place of change, growth, development, healing. The life that you want is on the other side of surrender. The difference that you desire, the healing that you desire, is on the other side of that place where you lay it down, give it all, recognize who you are, accepting it for what it is, and now I move on. So, surrender is not submission. If you've got two wrestlers, two men that are in a battle, and I pin my opponent, and his shoulder blades are on the mat, and he says, I give up, I submit. He has submitted, but he has not surrendered. Because as soon as that guy lets him up, he's ready to go after it again. And so what God is calling us to is not just submission. Surrender is much deeper. It's much more profound. It embraces this idea of complete acceptance. To use biblical terminology, it's dying to self. Complete and utter surrender. However, surrender now yields itself to healing and hope and life and empowerment. The two seem opposite. When I think of surrender, it kind of raises me up. It kind of brings up this rebellious side of me. I don't want to surrender to anything or anybody. But I realize when I accept where I am, what is the barriers in my life, the cascade of pain that has fallen in my life, when I surrender to my will, my disobedience, all of those things, I find life, I find healing, I find victory, all of the things that I want. So tomorrow's freedom is found in today's surrender. When I let go, I can live fully alive. Because if you're not living fully alive, you're the walking zombie, you're the walking dead. So another paradox would not only be surrendered to live, but when I give something away, I wind up keeping it. What do you mean by that? It's been said this way: what you keep to yourself, you lose. What you give away, you keep forever. Bill Wilson would say this: we admit it, we were powerless over alcohol. This actually comes from the original writings, that our lives had become unmanageable. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves would restore us to sanity. What he is saying is that he has accepted that his life has become unmanageable. He's surrendering to that point, and now he moves on. And in this, let me back up. Wilson's story, Bill W., is very interesting. In the early onset, when he got completely delivered and completely free of alcoholism, and for those of you who may not know the full story, he had been in and out of rehab, lost his career, on the streets, completely a mess, about lost everything in his life. And he has, a friend from the past comes and witnesses to him in the hospital. And he has what he describes as a white light experience where the Lord met him and he was gloriously and radically saved. And so the reason why, he put language in the 12 steps about a higher power and God as you know him or recognize him was the fact that he wanted to help everybody, and he didn't want to exclude people that were not of faith, the agnostics or whatever. He wanted to help everybody. So that's how, but he was a diehard believer. And so what he did, this is the house that he lived in, and he just started finding guys on the street, taking them in and working with them. And so his house became a rescue mission. And he realized that we only keep what we give away. It's a paradox. And so one of the initial stories is that early on in his sobriety, he's in Ohio, and he has this business deal because he was a Wall Street guy, and the deal went bust, and he's about to lose, a large sum of money, and he's staying at a hotel, and he's in the hotel lobby, and what are in nice hotel lobbies? Bars. And it was a major trigger for him to relapse. And so he goes old school to a phone booth and starts calling churches. And he says, do you have any drunks that I can talk to? I need to talk to a drunk. I need to help somebody. And the gist of the story is that one of the churches say, yeah, we've got somebody for you. He's a doctor. He's diehard. His name is Dr. Bob, which was the other partner in the whole AA, beginning. And so he meets with Dr. Bob, and the rest, as they say, is history. But he realized, in order for me to keep this, I've got to give it back. And so again, it's a paradox. It's two opposites. How do I win? I surrender. How do I keep what I've got? I give it away. I give it back. Another one. We'll close with this one. We suffer to get well. In this life, we learn from suffering. We learn from heartache. Pain becomes our teacher. And if we don't learn from it, then we just go through the painful experience, and it has a tendency to make us bitter, has a tendency to make us angry and resentful. Helen Keller said it this way: although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of those overcoming of it. Only through suffering do we learn. I like it phrased like this: you turn your demons into art, your shadow into your friend, your fears into fuel, your mistakes into teachers, and your weakness into reasons to keep fighting. Don't waste your pain. Recycle your heart. Learn from your suffering. So it's another paradox. We learn from suffering. We grow from suffering. There's value in it. Your pain will talk to you. It will get your attention. Theologically, I do not believe that God sends the pain. He's not this old guy on a throne just zapping you with lightning bolts. But I do, because I am overwhelmingly, profoundly aware of the goodness of God in my life. And I believe this, that through every disappointment, through every adversity, through every painful event that has come into your life or in my life, that God is faithful and He will be there. And through that difficulty, in that pain, you can learn so much and gain so much wisdom. So though it is not God who is sending you the pain, in your pain, when you meet Him there and He meets you there, you can learn and grow in so many ways. But you've got to be willing not to go back to that black or white thinking. It's this way or it's that way, that the world's against me and there's no way out, all of that stuff. And you've got to truly learn from it, grow from it, and allow it to be your opportunity. It opens up a world of possibility and healing. But you give me somebody who's fixated on it's either bad or good, and I look at my life and it's only bad. That is a person that is just marking themselves for disappointment and failure. But someone who looks at life through the lens of possibilities, and that there are opposites in this world that can both be true, that there are possibilities as well as adversities, that is a person that will grow, that will heal and be better.
So what I'm saying is, it like
Typically, what you'll see in a lot of writings today is a fixed mindset or an open, creative mindset. It's my choice on how I view the world. You've got to recycle what you've gone through. You can't bypass it. You got to deal with it, and you got to recycle it. And yes, the recycling is in Christ. Totally, 100%. But you've got to be willing to go there with it. Your old life and your old experiences is a part of who you are, whether they were good or bad. And so if I don't learn from those things, if I don't take the negative energy, the fornication, the drug abuse, if I don't recycle that and make something good out of it, because when you look at those things, those were all ways I was trying to find an identity. I was trying to find pleasure. I was trying to find all these things, escape. So I find fulfillment in a new life, in a better way. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for listening to the Telos Care podcast. We hope today's conversation encouraged you to reach in and grow, and reach out to bring hope and healing to your community. Hit follow on social media to stay up to date, and hit subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.